Welcome to the Vybrant Report. It's a new segment I'm going to be doing, a little bit of solo time behind the camera, really diving into health, wellness, and the current state of affairs across the country, hot topics, hot gossip, and of course, a little bit of Am I the Asshole? I've gotten to talk to so many wonderful people over the course of the months of doing the Vybrant podcast, as well as our Raise Your Standards podcast. And it's kind of sparked the idea or the thought for me to really just dive into more current topics and, present things that a lot of us are fighting. I see a lot of clients fighting with it. I see a lot of, things online in terms of social media, people fighting back and forth about hot topics. And I figured maybe I can lend my 2 cents. I have show notes here. I've got a couple sections that I'm going to go through, and I hope this brings you some value. So a little about me, just since this is our kind of first takeoff with this. My name is Joshua Haig. I am a 15-year plus coach. I am a master in spines and shoulders here in LA. I am a former high-level athlete. I'm the founder of Heroic Performance and Vybrant out here, as well as Vybrant Sleep. And lastly, I'm a nutritionist, as well as have been a chef for close to 20 years. And realistically, this show is all about health, wellness. There's information everywhere. And how can we kind of dissect what's good, what's not? Maybe I can give you one or two takeaways to, spark some health in the next couple of days and weeks, as funny as that may be. Information at the end of the day is not transformation, right? Behavior is transformation. So if you're not actually listening to something and taking away relative information, relative tactical change, what's the point of even listening to it? Obviously, we all like to have something just kind of spinning in the background, but I want you to actually grow and develop from the things that we're doing, right? And so without further ado, section 1, I'm always going to start it off. My favorite, what's grinding my gears today in the health and wellness space? And I think right now, a huge mistake a lot of people are making is that technology is dictating our overall health. I know so many people that wake up, they feel good, they feel refreshed, they feel locked in, 95% recovery, and then they kind of start going through their phone, and then they start looking at their wearable, and all of a sudden, it says 64%, 62%. Well, what happens when that wearable that you have is not necessarily speaking the truth? Well, that's grinding my gears, and so many clients, so many people I see are really missing the boat in terms of optimization, right? A wearable. I'm a huge Whoop fan, right? I've worn it. I'm a founding member and I believe in it. I believe in the data, heart rate variability, resting heart rate. We all love it. We all need it. But when you then use it to just curve your life long term, but not actually listening to how you feel inside, that's a problem for me, right? That's what's grinding my gears, right? And I just really dove into kind of a soapbox with a client a little while ago. And it was about the fact that he almost had to shut down because his psyche was so wrapped around his Whoop that he was losing his performance. And truthfully, the easy takeaway is I took his Whoop away and I said, you know what? It's time to work out. If you want to go work out, go. If you don't, don't. And magically like that, he all of a sudden felt great again, fixed himself, and the rest is history. But the takeaway is that the Whoop, the wearable, right? It's a dashboard. You are still the driver of the car, right? It is just information, but you need to make sure you're consistently listening to yourself, right? And so, moving on, section number 2, I wanted to dive into health state of affairs when it comes to health and wellness, because I've gotten a lot of feedback in the things that I'm coaching or doing is the fact that I'm too nice. I'm talking to people, I'm coaching people, but I'm not diving into the shit that pisses me off with health and wellness. I'm a master coach. I do this pretty much every freaking day of my life, and I don't give enough honest answers. So we're diving into the health, current state of affairs next, right? We've become obsessed with tracking, and it goes a little bit deeper, right? It's not necessarily just a Whoop or Aura. It's everything. We are tracking everything and trying to hyper fixate across the board on information, from blood work, right? That longevity concept, to sleep tracking, to metabolic panels, to hormone panels. And that's a good and a bad thing, right? It's a double-edged sword when we start to dive into unlocking true longevity for you, right? And I want overall health and wellness for you to be the absolute name of the game. That's what we're looking for. But the problem is, again, just like our talk about wearables, the grinding of the gears plays into this. You can't overemphasize the numbers. They are a tool. It is the dashboard. It is not the car, right? We need to think about kind of taking a step back. We absorb the numbers and then we create a plan moving forward. And that's really the wonderful thing that I do with clients. And I think that's something you should think about doing is get your blood work done, get your metrics, listen to your Whoop, right? I use Superpower online, right? get the information, and then basically once you have it, create a plan, put into AI, do all these things, and then stop looking at it, and then start to go about your day. And if you can do that, you'll start to step back and kind of have the just less stress overall when it comes to managing your overall health, right? That long-term plan. So that's my state of affairs right now. The data is very interesting. Our next segment, where I go through some current headlines right now in the news when it comes to health and wellness, it's going to tie into all this. So you'll see that there's an overarching theme, right? So, headline number 1: Americans are more stressed than ever. Gallup's State of the Global Workplace 2026 report. That's where this comes from. And 50% of US employees report experiencing significant stress, and globally 40% of employees report significant stress the previous day. So it's almost becoming a norm that our workplace is just always stressed, right? Stress, anger, and sadness remain above pre-pandemic levels worldwide. Let me repeat that. Stress, anger, and sadness remain above pre-pandemic levels worldwide. And so when we make this big headline in the news, Americans are more stressed than ever. Well, what does that mean? Well, let's dive in, right? What they kind of found in the research, right, was that they're more tired, they're holding on to belly fat, they're having hormone issues, they're finding poor recovery and poor sleep, all tied due to that increased stress rate in the workplace, right? So when we are training someone, when I'm working with a client, people always want to step back and think it's the next push-up that's going to get them there, that it's the next, nutritional hack. I have a client today who was diving in. She had this new cleanse that was going to do it. Come on. That's not going to be the thing that knocks you into the next realm, the next success panel, or the next leg up, the next rung in the ladder. The thing that's really going to start to turn the wheel for you is figuring out what's actually stressing you. Are you managing it? Are you understanding how to take a step back, take a breath, and find yourself, right? Squats, push-ups, eating chicken versus beef versus vegetarian, vegan versus, your bedtime routine, all of that's wonderful, but it all comes together to stir the pot of what your stress looks like, what your habits look like. And that's going to be the thing that helps normalize our overall health and wellness. So, okay, moving on. Headline number 2. Remember, these are top headlines right now trending across the country. GLP-1s, weight loss drugs, they continue to surge. This comes from the KFF health tracking poll on GLP-1s. 1 in 8 American adults have used GLP-1 medication. Approximately 12% of the US adults report having used one. 4 in 10 actually have diabetes, and 1 in 4 report having heart disease when going into using one. Now, I've gone into on different podcasts and different full Live Vybrant YouTube videos. I dove into GLP-1s, the goods, the bads, the uglies, how to be managing for success, the things to look out for if it's going to get you in terms of the risks that we face with GLP-1s. But the overarching theme is we are looking for a crutch. We are looking for a crutch when it comes to our health. People don't want the hard work. Let's face it. And to be honest, I'm holistic. If you don't know me, I coach sleep, exercise, nutrition, stress, and social engagement. And I believe these are the 5 pillars to fitness, right? And the GLP-1, while I do believe that some people need it, there is a percentage of the population that does need help, whether there's something wrong metabolically, hormonally, psychologically. I get it. That there's a populace for it. I do not believe that the data in terms of how many people are on it actually equates to how many should be on it. And shame on me, but I got to take a stance as a coach. I feel like we can do better. I feel like you can do better, whoever's watching this. Don't go to it. I personally am against them. Coaching my clients into a natural state of success. And it's really not that hard. It just takes work. It takes consistency, and it takes time. And the real question at the end of the day is, are you willing to do that, right? And I just hope that at some level, we can stop looking for shortcuts. That's it. Right? This wearable is the same thing. People are looking for it to be a miracle cure in terms of their health and wellness. It's again a shortcut. We got to step back and really start to unlock the base, the foundation. Just like when you did long division before a calculator, we have to lock that in, right? Now, on to headline number 3. The recovery industry, it's exploding. Global wellness and recovery industry reports that recovery centers continue to expand. Cold plunging businesses are one of the top leading businesses currently in the recovery industry. Cold plunge businesses, interesting. We're looking at red light therapy and wearable. So longevity and recovery seems to have become the major category in terms of expanse. in our overall health and wellness. However, we look at the data, we look at the studies, it still says that we go back to our first one, sleep remains poor. And if you know anything about me, if you follow my companies and what I do, sleep is the number one thing, right? So I go after sleep. I have a sleep academy out there. It's free for you to do. I have a sleep product out there. That's my thing. And it's interesting that we look at the recovery industry and we have all these little doohickeys, all these little nuances. We look at the recovery side of things, and no one really talks about the fact that sleep needs to be the thing that's locked down. So I challenge you, those who are watching the video, those on TikTok, can you own your sleep before you worry about red light therapy, cold tubs, hot tubs, acupuncture, massage? Can you own your sleep? Do you have good bedtime? Do you have sleep consistency? Do you have good hygiene? Do you protect your what I call sleep sanctuary? Do you look at the 60 to 90 minutes before bed and lock it down? All of these things have to come together to create appropriate recovery. If you're not doing it, you're missing the boat. You're missing the boat. But it's all right. Moving on. We're looking at headline number 4. So this is the next big thing. People are sleeping less and feeling worse. Again, this comes from the Gallup Workplace Wellbeing data and ongoing sleep trends. And they're reporting that 34% of employees worldwide are considered thriving in overall well-being. Stress levels remain elevated, fatigue, burnout, and poor recovery continue to be on the rise. Now, why does this matter? If we're not sleeping, and I just said it, we're looking at fat loss, hormones, energy, mood, performance, longevity. All of these things are all over the place. Sleep is the thing that kind of locks us in. And this would be like an 11 out of 10 for me on the hot take-o-meter, is in terms of we need to think about sleep as the paramount to diving into unlocking our ultimate performance and longevity, right? Sleep is paramount. And so if you're not thinking about it, we're missing the boat. We got a bonus headline here. Bonus headline: Americans know more about health than ever before. Ooh, that's very interesting. Yeah, we're in an information age. I'm actually heading out to lecture at Perform Better here in Chicago. I'm one of the speakers on the national summit. I'm lecturing about AI and coaching the coach of a generation that has to beat AI and how you do it. And the world is more knowledgeable than ever before. They're more focused than ever before. In Chicago, we're going to be diving deeper into how you as a coach should be positioning yourself against AI. I was in Long Beach last year. I'm going out to Chicago with them this year. I'm flying out to be on that stage, and it's such an honor. But at the end of the day, our clients, the general populace across the country, is more knowledgeable due to AI. So how are you utilizing that and protecting yourself against the overarching theme of misinformation? So that's all I'm going to leave it for our health headlines of the day. Now we got some health gossip. I spend a lot of time talking with clients about ups and downs in terms of, their own health and wellness. And one of the big things what's the hot goss? The hot goss. Now, the big one is everyone wants a hack, right? And the current internet obsession is that biohacking, longevity, miracle supplements, things like that. What are you doing for it, right? What shortcuts are you obsessed with? And the health gossip that I have here that I wrote was one of my clients has just hopped onto this cleanse, right? And she is all about it. And about every 5 months, it's like she's going to reinvigorate herself with this cleanse. But the problem is, no one steps back and starts to understand that a cleanse doesn't actually fix your health problems. There, I said it. A cleanse does not fix your health problems. All it does is make you dehydrate and then hydrate. And people see these massive changes. Their weight loss goes up, down, left, right, and center. And they see other than this water fluctuation. Now, some people might feel better. They've changed themselves a little bit, but it doesn't get the job done. It's not doing anything. So knock it off with the shortcuts. That's the theme of today, if you haven't realized it. And kind of start to dive into owning the foundation of your own health and wellness, right? I wanted to include a little bit of a coach's corner here for you. Each week, as I do this, as I go through this talk, overall fitness, right? Overall health and wellness. I want to make sure I give you something to take away, a piece of coaching. People pay me a lot of money across Los Angeles, and I want to give it to you for free. And so why you're still tired after 8 hours of sleep, I have done multiple videos of this. They're out there for free, and I dive way into it, into the science of the body and what's going on and how you can beat it. I'm going to hammer it all down, make it nice and short, and try and give you some quick take-home tidbits, right? So if you have some sleep apnea problems, you might have snoring, brain fog, morning headaches, daytime fatigue, things like that. If you are stressed, you might be in a fight or flight state all day or poor recovery. And these are all reasons to why you might not be sleeping through the night. Now, what I want to give you is kind of those action steps, right? And we know caffeine, we know alcohol, we know their effects somewhat on the body, but we want to think about things to do each and every day that kind of take us to that next level. The action steps, right? So morning sunlight right out the gate. We want to see you starting the day out in the sunshine, locking it in, getting in that good vitamin D. We want to see a consistent wake up and bedtime. So wake up and bedtime every night, 9 and 7, whatever, but within a 15 to 30-minute window. And we talk sleep consistency. Now, when we talk earlier caffeine cutoff, everyone is a little bit different how they function, but we talk about a 10-hour window, right? It's a 5-hour half-life, and then from there it degrades down. So a 10-hour window in terms of the amount of time you need to give yourself to kind of step back from caffeine. Next, we want to talk about a nighttime ritual. Start to lock in your 60 to 90-minute bedtime every single night. No questions asked. Kids, no kids. I don't care. Lock it in. And lastly, I want to reduce evening stimulation. This might be going from multiple screens to one screen. This might be reading. This might be a hot shower. This might be changing the lighting in our house. This might be what noises are in our bedroom. I go really deep into this in our Sleep Academy, so if you're watching this, check it out. It's over on School, and we also have the Fountain of Youth on School as well. All free coaching, free blueprints out there. I do a 30, 60, 90-day sleep reset on there, as well as on the Fountain of Youth, so it's school.com/the Fountain of Youth. I have a full 12-week training program out there. I built it. It's video-led. I do everything: sleep, exercise, nutrition, stress, and social engagement. I train you as if you're next to me and you're my client for 12 weeks. You can't go wrong. It's there. It's free. I beg you to take it. But last but not least, before we get into some Am I the Assholes, the Coach's Challenge. My challenge for you this week is a sunlight challenge. I want you outside within 30 minutes of waking up, and I want 5 to 10 minutes of direct sunlight at least, so sunglasses off. It's going to help reset that cortisol, help kind of get you into your day, and in turn, reset your circadian rhythm for the day. Have a 30 grams of protein-ish within 30 minutes of waking up as well. So this week, every day outside within 30 minutes of waking up. And now, without further ado, let's get into some Am I the Assholes? These are the fun ones. And Brittany and I over on the Raise Your Standards podcast, we usually chit-chat and go back and forth a little bit about more sexual things and relationship things. And we dive into more controversial things when it comes to kind of how to incorporate stuff with your partner. And what I wanted to do while we're here on the Vybrant report is I wanted to dive into some of the Am I the Assholes? So without further ado, how do people drink lattes and eat pastries regularly? I know the answer all boils down to calories, but hear me out for a second. I, 27, a female, I'm 5'6" and weigh 165 pounds. I've been trying to lose weight this whole year and just now came to terms with needing to track calories. I was scared to do so since I've had some disordered eating in my past, but it's actually been pretty freeing so far. Through tracking, I've realized how calorically dense foods are weighted. The ones that surprise me the most are sugary lattes and pastries like croissants. Super fit people I know seem to drink lattes daily, maybe costing them 300 plus calories for a caffeine hit. Yes, lots of overweight people drink lattes too, but it genuinely surprises me that so many thin Pilates type drink lattes regularly. How do people do this? Do we think they're skipping breakfast and just having a latte? My jealousy has been running rampant, and it's hard for me to watch thin people eat foods that aren't necessarily healthy. I just wanted to vent for a second. That was awesome. So it's really funny. I can tell you right now, the thin Pilates people, most likely if they're ripping a latte or going into Pilates or coming home from Pilates, they are not worrying too much about whether or not they're tracking calories. If you're trying to crush your nutritional goal, most people are not ripping a Starbucks latte because of, you are right, the calorie side of things and the sugar side of things. Now, I will say there are some people out there who tweak their caloric intake through the day to allot for a treat in the morning. Of all the time in the day, I would say breakfast to lunch would be the time to have that sweet treat because you have the most amount of time to burn it off throughout the day. So let's say you have that croissant and the Starbucks latte. Great. And then you eat good protein and vegetables through the rest of the day with almost no carbohydrate. I'm good because you're kind of balancing out. The concept is if it fits your macros. You're making the assumption that the caloric load would happen in the morning. You would be able to eat your croissant and your latte and things like that. You're super high in carbohydrates, and then you're going to go work out. It is the time that you would need the carbohydrates. You're going to optimally burn them off, not all of them probably, but you're going to do good. And then as you go through the rest of the day, if you really hone in on good fats, good protein, good vegetables, most likely you'll balance out the equation. Now, I will argue these people you see walking around, most of them are not thinking like this. Also, anyone who's remotely worried about their health is not drinking the sugary lattes consistently with a croissant every morning. But remember, everyone's body processes nutrients differently. And so, this young lady that you may have seen bopping in there, she might be super effective at processing carbohydrates, which is normal. I get bogged down. You give me a bowl of pasta, you give me a lot of sweet potatoes, I feel lazy, I feel lethargic. Cut it out of my diet, give me more fats, I'm locked in and focused. Everybody's body is different. And so I think you need to step back and think about what works best for your body. If you're if you're eating lattes like this, you're not worried about your health and wellness. Let's see what some of the comments were. Someone came in here and said could be several things. You don't know what's in the drink. You don't know if it's sugary. You don't know for sure what these people are eating, and you don't know what the caloric intake of some of these other people are. Correct. It's a good rule of thumb to never assume things in the gym. You don't know people's training programs. You don't know why they're doing an exercise or their injury protocol. It's something I teach my team. They might be doing sugary-free syrups or no sweeteners. You don't know what's also in that. So I guess the overarching theme is you just don't know what's in these things. People absolutely just have a coffee and latte for breakfast. It gives them the ounceages. If you make a lower caloric choice by changing the milk out, it can save a lot of room on the back end. Just pay attention to what you're drinking, and I wouldn't assume what other people are. I think it's risky business once you start to dive into the assumption of other people's fitness. Let's dive into number 2, a little quick drink break. Would I be the asshole for giving my boyfriend an ultimatum about taking care of his health? Ooh, this is a juicy one. Would I be the asshole for giving my boyfriend an ultimatum about taking care of his health? This is huge. I live with my boyfriend, a 35 male. He smokes a weed vape basically every hour of every day. This causes 2 problems. 1, we live in a non-smoking apartment complex and our landlord can see him blowing smoke. 2, he is developing an increasingly horrible cough. First, it was a smoker's cough, so 2 blasts, cough, cough. Then it got progressively more raw sounding. When it is an occasional retching cough that sounds like he's about to throw up, he constantly carries a glass of water to sip from to suppress that urge. His retching makes me nauseous. He says he has an issue with anxiety and weed is the only thing that helps. In the 10 years of knowing him, I don't think he has ever seen a doctor for this. Yes, we have very good and expensive health coverage. We have the kind of shitty relationship where he generally ignores me and any questions about how he feels. Got it. In general, he asks me when he needs something, and me asking him about any aspect of his decision making is literally like talking to a wall. In other words, asking him what's going on with his health issues is useless, but he can do it to me. Got it. The few times he has talked about his well-being, he says he lives in a non-stop vortex of physical pain and debilitating anxiety, and nothing can be done about it. In general, his attitude towards life is that he will either break through and earn a figurative fortune that will solve all of his problems simultaneously, or he will die trying, which he is prepared to do. Would I be the asshole for giving him an ultimatum that he either makes a concrete plan to take care of himself or we wrap up our relationship and separate? I am sick with anxiety watching him get progressively sicker from total neglect. This is awful. You are absolutely not the asshole. I am all for the ultimatum. And I think something that my current relationship has taught me versus previous is the fact of it's so good to have. But when I came into this current relationship, I really laid the law in my own headspace that I was going to demand more of my partner. She does not have to be at my level. I'm a coach. She does not have to work out as hard as I do. I'm a coach. She does not have to lock her fridge down as hard as I do. I'm a coach. But at the end of the day, she has to take pride in her health. That was my kind of ground rule. And she, funnily enough, did the same thing, that it was something that she was looking for in a partner. And what this looks like to me is the fact of your boyfriend does not prioritize his health. You prioritize your health. And to expect him to just change miraculously is, I think, unreasonable. I do not think you're an asshole, though. I think you're learning that maybe you need something different in a relationship to be successful. And I'm proud of you for seeing that. I'm proud of you for noting that. If you're going to stay in the relationship, you need to keep pressing him towards health. And if he doesn't take it, that's on him. My hope is that he does start to see the light, so to speak, and level up, step up. But if he can't, maybe you just need to cut it and step to a new future. I'm really sorry that this is going on for you. I think that you're in every right to want better for yourself and the people in your circle. And noticing that your partner is just drifting away health-wise, it's not your problem to fix, but it's also not your problem to stay there and support. And so personally, when I coach like individuals, I always offer for the significant other to be in a healthy household. I'll help them with nutrition. I'll help them with exercise. They can join our workouts. They can do all these things because a supportive household makes the person that much more successful. If you come home after a long day of work and your wife is making spaghetti and meatballs, but you need to be locked down on your diet, you're naturally going to be weak, even though you're trying to lock in. But if your wife is putting together a beautiful chicken and broccoli dish, when you come home from work, you're naturally going to now lock in even more. And so that support from your spouse is vital when it comes to health and wellness. So, right, we talk our health pillars for my companies: sleep, exercise, nutrition, stress, and social engagement. And that social engagement is what kind of springboards you forward or unlocks a new ceiling when it comes to your opportunistic potential, so to speak. Everyone kind of agreed with me. The weed can help anxiety, but it's not going to make anything better. Your boyfriend sounds like he's in a different camp. Yep, they beat the boyfriend up pretty hard. Nothing special. I think we hit the nail on the head here pretty much. I wish the best for you. Unfortunately, with these "am I the assholes," it's not necessarily that you're the asshole. It's just that you're seeing this dichotomy split. And what are you going to do? We're going after an unpopular opinion here, JT. Unpopular opinion about coaching. Most coaches I have met don't really have a viable business. Thanks. They fall in love with coaching itself and like the idea of helping people, and that's perfectly good. But to thrive in coaching, build a reputation, get great clients, and it be rewarding financially, you need the infrastructure and systems to do that. What does that look like? Matching your coaching to existing demand. It is easier to sell your coaching as a solution to a want that a market will pay for. But many coaches focus on marketing coaching not for the realism from coaching. So they struggle to charge right, capture leads, and build the level of revenue, right? They're just building what they want versus building what the market needs. I love this. A recent stat shows most coaches make $20,000 a year, 100%. Second, the infrastructure needed to build demand is absent, and they are the infrastructure. There's no demand creation engine. Interesting. Posting is not connected to a buyer journey, a lot of activity, but it's nothing to join up. So the content isn't growing an email list. An email list isn't building trust or creating tension, and the program is not aligned to the email list. This means they end up doing everything they can to hustle and market, but nothing gets built. Buying more courses, hiring more agencies, and nothing works. Is this something you see in the industry too? That was super, like, kind of to the point. As a coach, I train coaches. When I go out there and talk, 81% of coaches will fail or leave the industry within the first year. 51% of coaching businesses fail within the first 5 years. We are overworked, underpaid, and undervalued. And the curious part to this is no one sees that. What's also curious is people jumping into coaching. Whether you worked for Google and you now want to get into teaching violin because you taught it when you were younger, or when you were working in marketing and you hated the 9 to 5, so you jumped back to being a trainer because you were a college soccer player. I see that all the time. People use coaching as this kind of fallback or safety mechanism. And what they don't realize is that the industry is brutal. It's brutal. And what they don't see is the fact of it kind of chews people up and spits them out. And it's kind of a bright-eyed and bushy-tailed feeling jumping into coaching, and it hits home. I have struggled for years before I figured out how to create a business. And what's funny is I am in the business of fitness. I don't do fitness. And once you start to understand that it is sales and marketing, right? It is not about who can do better squats, right? The physiology, biomechanics comes, at least for training and fitness. But for coaches, and I'm looking at coaches across all networks, whether you are doing, coaching violin, whether you're, doing art classes or coaching fasting or a nutritional coach, it doesn't matter. You are in business. You happen to be doing the coaching. You are the tactician. You're really in business. And this person hits the nail on the head. A lot of people found this post interesting. I was making almost nothing as a coach, and even though people loved the idea of what I was doing, no one wanted to fund it. No one wanted to pay for it, and I was in the position of asking for money and trying to build rapport with clients, which made me feel icky. No one wants to be a used car salesman, right? It is important, though, that when you start to get into it, you do have a passion, yes, but I think it's also vital to start to understand that you need to always go to what the market wants. I started as a high-level athlete. I came out as being a pro and understanding that not everyone wants advanced gait dynamics. Not everyone needs to be taught how to have a better vertical jump by 2 inches. Debbie down the street, who is a consistent client, right, needs a healthy spine, healthy shoulders to pick up her child, needs to learn how to go to bed, needs to learn nutrition at a low level. She doesn't need to hammer down on her peptide schedule out the gate. So being a high level athlete didn't help me be a coach for today. That's why I specialize in spines and shoulders, is I learned how and what the market needed. And so realistically, this am I the asshole or this purpose question is, should you pivot as a coach to what the market needs, or should you just stick to your guns? And I think it's a hybrid answer, because I still do coach athletes. I still love it. But I also love the physical therapy and helping someone through it. That's why I built Vybrant. That's why I built the school that we have, our school platform. It's out there for free, is because I loved coaching people so much. And it's just finding a way to reach more people. And so the content is a part of that. That's your marketing, right? Your email list is a part of that. That's your marketing, any joint ventures and things like that. And as a coach, we need to remember it's about being in business. It's not about being a coach. And I work somewhere between 30 to 40 coaching hours every week. And what's funny is that's the easiest time of my week. It's all of this stuff. That's the hard stuff, getting the content ready, doing the videos, doing the editing, right? Making sure everything's lined up and launching Vybrant, building our sleep product, getting all of that built, the school platform built, blah, 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 blah. All of that is the business side of things. And that's the icky stuff. That's the hard stuff. But it's to get someone on a phone to hopefully then help them. That's what I love to do, is that moment where I help them. It's the best thing in the world. And so all of the icky stuff becomes worth it. And so it's realistically a question of, what are you willing to tolerate? Are you willing to kind of change a little bit of your model or your business to be able to help the next person? Or are you really kind of stuck on being kind of on your pillar of, I'm a coach and this is what I coach, period, in the store? Because there are people who have done really well like that. But it takes a little bit longer to find that. It takes a little bit more time building that niche out. We're talking a little bit of Am I the Assholes here? We're talking about some fun Reddit stories as we read through it and kind of getting some feedback. Now we're moving on to boyfriend, a 27 male, says he doesn't feel desired by me, a 26-year-old female. I don't feel desired by him either. How do we fix this? All right. My boyfriend and I have been together for a few years, and recently, and I have to be honest, we had a very honest conversation about our sex life. For context, I'm a conventionally attractive woman. I take care of myself, work out regularly, put effort into appearance, etc. The issue isn't that I've completely let myself go or stopped caring about myself physically. My boyfriend told me that for years, he was usually the one initiating sex. Over time, he felt rejected and stopped initiating because he no longer felt desired by me. I understand the perspective and I take responsibility for my part. Interestingly enough, I get this all the time from clients. The sex is a huge motivator for making transformations as a coach. Curious. The problem is that now I struggle to initiate because I don't feel desired by him either. During our conversation, he said he wants me to be a sexier version and that he doesn't really feel sexual energy from me. He said my affections feel sometimes forced and that he doesn't feel pursued or desired. The thing is, I genuinely don't know how to do what he's asking for. I'm naturally affectionate. I cuddle, kiss, touch him, sit close to him, etc. But being overly sexual feels incredibly awkward to me. Things like initiating sex, flirting heavily, dirty talk, acting seductive, etc. make me feel embarrassed and self-conscious. Part of the problem is that I don't feel particularly wanted by him either. We don't make out much. He doesn't initiate much with me anymore. And my confidence has taken a hit over time. So being told to be more sexual feels difficult when I'm already feeling insecure. My questions are for men, do you actually mean, or what do you actually mean when you say you want your girlfriend to be sexier? What specific behavior makes you feel desired? If you've been in similar situations, what's helped? And for women who are naturally shy or uncomfortable with initiation, how do you get more comfortable expressing sexual desire? Does this sound like a flexible or a fixable dynamic? Are we missing something bigger? I'm looking for honest feedback, not validation. I genuinely want to understand what he might be trying to communicate. This is huge. There's a lot to unpack here. And so realistically, let's go first. What do you mean as a man? What do you mean when you say you want your girlfriend to be sexier? And I think you hit the nail on the head. Up top, you had talked about initiating sex, flirting heavily, dirty talk, seductive of any sort, all of that. You said you feel embarrassed or self-conscious. And let's face it, that is exactly what a male wants. And I tell my relationship, I want 10%. Now, I am fortunate enough that she in my relationship now goes above and beyond almost every day in terms of how she moves, what she wears, how she's talking to me, things like that. And it's not just blatant, like sexual, like porn stuff. It's just the way we communicate has tension to it. The way we try and flirt every day. We try and be childish every day. I pinch her and I grab at her and she does the same to me. And there's that push and shove and give and take. And if you've lost that, That's really sad because I have been in many relationships that have, and it sucks. The hard part is one of you has to jump off. And what this said before up in the top is the fact of he had been initiating for a while and it kind of fizzled out. Don't get me wrong. I think that it should be tit for tat. It should be a little bit of bouncing back and forth. However, if he's fizzled out sexually a little bit, I think you might need to take a step towards him. You need to kiss him a little bit longer, grab him a little bit more. And if you say you are and that's not working, you need to have a conversation with him and ask him this exact question. We talk about communication being the biggest thing or the most important thing in the BDSM world, right? And I firmly believe that. And the more you can communicate with your partner, the easier the sex life will be, especially when it starts to derail. If you feel disconnected, if you need a signal, if you need something else, can you do something else? Can you wear something else? Can you be something else? Communication, especially in the sexual life, is massive, right? So, what can you do to be sexier? Talk to him about it. From there, what you said is spot on. You can wear something for him too, but I cannot stress this enough. And I say it to my partner, just wearing it is not a signal. You can be walking around the house in it and not be like having me locked in. I might be stressed. I might be tired. I might need something else. So what I recommend is if you are in something sexy, still come over, bring a drink, sit on my lap, do something in bed, go an extra step. Just wearing something is not enough. Now, usually for a lot of guys, it's 95%. It'll perk their ears up. Then come over and kiss him deeply. He'll take care of the rest. So you just have to get the ball rolling. Most likely the guy will take over. But the deeper problem here is the fact that he doesn't feel wanted. And the initiation side of things, like I really love when my partner would initiate with me if she does. Come sit on my lap. Don't make me ask you every time. Kiss me deeper, make out with me, put your head between my legs, push me onto the bed, do things like that because it makes me feel wanted. It's the same thing as like words of affirmation, right? Of the whole love languages. Saying I love you is great, but saying I really appreciate you today. You mean the world to me. I'm so glad you're in my life. Things like that mean more. And it's scary to say something like that for fear of rejection, but you need to, right? Secondly, we go into the second question. What specific behaviors make you feel desired? And I would argue that anything that I talked about makes that man feel desired, but also communicate to him. Ask this person what makes you feel desired. If you can do that, you'll start to create that communication change to hopefully unlock a better sex life, right? For women who are naturally shy or uncomfortable, how do you get more comfortable? Part of that is him. Part of the problem here is the fact if he's not kind of taking you by the hand and helping you through this. Realistically, it's on your partner to lead. It's a lead and follow at some level, but you also have to love him and know that shouldn't reject you right out the gate for trying to be a little bit spicy. Hopefully that helped just a little bit. Let's get one more. We got a short one here to wrap up for the day, and then we're going to sign off. Am I the asshole for wanting my sleep? And as the resident sleep coach in the room, I think it's a little self-serving here to finish it with this one. Fuck them. Sleep is the most important thing you could possibly have. I don't care who says anything else. I don't say goodbye in the morning to my partner. I don't disturb her. I leave the room. Sleep is the most important thing for you. And you want to fix your sex problems. You want to fix your weight loss problems. You want to fix your attitude problems, all of it. Sleep. I'm a 21-year-old woman. My husband is 25. We recently discovered that I'm pregnant about 5 weeks along. Lately, I've been feeling extremely tired and I've been going to bed earlier than usual. My husband, however, decides to stay up and play on his computer when I'm laying in bed. I don't mind him playing on his computer, but this has become a consistent issue that I've had to ask him to stop doing while I'm trying to sleep. Every time he plays on his computer, he's extremely inconsiderate and doesn't realize that he makes a lot of noise. FYI, I'm a light sleeper, and sound does wake me up. He's been doing this even before I got pregnant, and I've talked to him about it multiple times. But now that I'm pregnant, I feel like I need rest and sleep. Am I wrong for not wanting to continue to be in the same room as him if he's going to be doing this? Okay, I was curious about how this was going to end. He's gaming in the same room as her. Absolutely, kick his ass out, set up the table outside, fuck him. I would never game with my partner in the same room. I think it's super rude. My buddy used to do that with his ex. And that's how their relationship started, that like she would just sit there and then eventually fall asleep as he was sitting gaming. I think it's so rude. You are not the asshole, pregnant or not pregnant. He is, and he needs to respect your sleep. I am all about the sleep domicile, so to speak. It should be dark and quiet and dormant. My only thing that I don't like is if there's a domestic like dispute, right? So if we're in a fight, right, and you were just like, I'm going to bed, and you just go and slam the door. I don't agree to that. I don't think you should go to bed angry or fighting. It's one of those pieces that, other than that, if everything's good, you should feel free to go to bed whenever you want, however you want, at any point. I believe that it is the most important piece to your overall health and wellness, and especially longevity. And with that, your partner should also respect the fact of you're pregnant. What the hell? So yeah, move it out in the living room, get him to change his computer desk. I think this is a pretty straightforward answer, and hopefully this helps. You're not the asshole. This is pretty straightforward. For those here watching our live broadcast, thank you so much. This has been the Vybrant Report. My name has been Josh. Make sure you check us out at school.com/The Fountain of Youth, on YouTube, the Live Vibrant podcast. Also, the Raise Your Standards podcast with my lovely girlfriend, Brittany. Yeah, we have a lot of information out there, a lot of fun times, a lot of good times. I can't wait to see you on the next one. This has been a blast. I've actually enjoyed this. So we'll catch you next time.